you're Min Fi. But no one knows why a guy as ordinary as you got accepted into the Star Academy, the country's most prestigious school. Stuck on the subway, you're desperately asking where train CC is. But the guard, seeing your empty pockets, mistakes you for a beggar, because who's ever heard of a CC train? You try to find a place to eat, but the restaurants won't serve beggars, though some might just accept you as one of their own. Then a senior named Finn spots you and offers guidance. He's also a Star Academy student and your upperclassman. You don't believe him at first, but Finn flashes an ID card just like yours, then pockets your meagre cash as his fee. That night, Finn confesses he's been stuck here for 8 years repeating grades. To catch the school's special train, you have to wait patiently. The low-ranked students like you and him must accept whenever the train arrives. The VIPs. They get personal escorts. Both of you fall asleep, and Min Fi dreams he's standing in a vast field beneath a moon swollen and strange. Awakening, he finds a young man nearby, someone who seems to know him, though Min Fi has no clue who this stranger is. It's only when Finn shakes him awake that reality returns. The train arrives and the guard's face darkens like a ghost's. He recognizes Finn immediately, announcing once again that Finn's been demoted. When Min Fi introduces himself, the guard's shock is palpable. Min Fi's an S rank, yet here he is, without a single escort. The guard says normally just one swipe of your card summons your ride, and Min Fi's disbelief grows. He's wasted half a day waiting for nothing. Frustrated, Min Fi swipes his card, follows the guard to the arriving train, and unexpectedly runs into the same group of beggars from before. Suddenly, a professor named Good Yes Good rushes out in relief, thinking Min Fi was lost forever. This professor wants Min Fi to take a special prep course before officially starting school. The topic, dragons. Because hidden deep in human history, dragons have always cast their shadow. Humanity tried to bury their existence, and this academy is no different. Most students are just trained to become gold ranks pawns in a grand design. Professor Good, a madman, and this academy more like an asylum. Before we dive deeper, hey, could you spare a moment for a quick ad? Gotta earn some instant noodles here. Robot is the powerhouse behind hits like Genshin Impact and Impaki. Their newest RPG invites you to explore a sprawling fantasy universe brimming with secrets and thrilling challenges. With cutting-edge anime-style graphics and silky smooth skill animations, Honkai Star Rail is a visual feast and a community favourite. The game's sound design is just as impressive. Every effect, every tune perfectly matches the mood. Voice acting brings each character to life with professional polish. Beyond exploration and puzzles, Honkai Star Rail delivers turn-based combat with a diverse roster. Characters aren't just ranked by rarity. They embody 7 elements and destinies, each brandishing unique skills that shape your team's fate. Every unit holds a crucial role, weaving together a strategy that's as deep as it is dazzling. It's a journey where your choices echo in every battle and every bond. So, if you've ever felt like an underdog lost in a vast world, maybe it's time to step aboard this train. Because sometimes the greatest adventures begin when you think you don't belong. With a squad of 4 characters, each brimming with tactical genius and sharp intellect, players must dive deep into strategies and calculations to claim victory. Honkai Star Rail isn't just another gacha game, it's a symphony of emotions that sweeps players into its world. Even better, Honkai Star Rail welcomes every player, warmly letting you grind and grow without barriers, with countless activities and features to keep you hooked. From these resources, you can summon characters and power them up, enhancing their strength through a rich, diverse system. Honkai Star Rail stands tall, not only on mobile but also on PC, supporting Android and iOS platforms, with full Vietnamese language support. Launched officially in Vietnam, it's completely free to download and dive into making it a breeze for anyone to jump right in. Especially during its launch period, Honkai Star Rail floods players with exciting events and irresistible rewards running both online and offline, from the vibrant Vincom Bar Trio in Hanoi from April 26 to 30 to Ho Chi Minh Post Office from April 26 to May 7th, plus countless other thrilling activities. So what are you waiting for? Download and start your adventure now. I'll leave the links in the description and comments below. Now, back to the story. That mysterious young man from earlier reappears, revealing to Min-Fi that what the professor said is true. He shares the ancient tale of dragons once the Dragon King was slain right on his throne. His corpse was placed atop the mountain, the very throne itself. All creation mourned when the dragon died, and if it hadn't perished, the world wouldn't be what it is today. The young man wakes and honestly shares his thoughts on the academy. To prove a point, the professor pulls out a suitcase containing a dragon scale and a glass jar. He asks Min-Fi to shoot at the scale, leveraging his military training. Min-Fi's shot knocks the scale away instantly. The professor then reveals the dragon inside the jar. Min-Fi initially thinks it's just a craft, but when the dragon's eyes snap open and it thrashes before settling down, Min-Fi is frozen in disbelief. His worldview shatters completely. The professor takes him for a walk, eager to hear his response. If Min-Fi refuses, his memories will be erased. He decides to test the waters for 2 days, humbly acknowledging how little he truly knows, welcoming him to explore the unknown. Min-Fi walks with the professor, but notices the academy strangely deserted today. Suddenly, an air raid alert blares. Min-Fi fears a dragon attack. Then gunfire erupts across the courtyard, and the professor is hit. The peaceful school transforms instantly into a fierce battlefield. Before Min-Fi can grasp the chaos, only 4 remain standing in this brutal fight. The 2 team captains meet at center court for a showdown. Both wield swords and firearms, engaging in a breathtaking duel that escalates from the courtyard to the rooftop. Suddenly, a senior leaps down near Min-Fi, aiming a gun at him. He surrenders, but before he can comply, she's shot instead. Shocked to his core, Min-Fi watches as the mysterious young man asks if he wants revenge. If so, he'll lend a hand. Without hesitation, Min-Fi grabs a gun and fires 3 shots, taking down the last 3 enemies. Collapsing for a moment, he's soon revived by comrades rushing in. Min-Fi then reunites with Professor Mai, who scolds the reckless students for their wild antics and the massive repair bills. Professor Mai wakes up, and Min-Fi jokes that he thought he was a ghost. The professor explains that once a year, students are given a free day to do as they please, often staging mock battles like this. The bullets were tranquilizers, and the red marks only serve as identification. Professor Mai calls the principal to report the incident, and a blonde youth confidently claims his father will cover the damages. However, the principal insists that freedom is a student's right, so the school will foot the bill. The principal promises to join the battle next year, sparking cheers from everyone. He also wants to meet Min-Fi, impressed that, as a newcomer, he defeated 2 top students, Sarah and Tu Hang. Mai advises Min-Fi to head to the dorm, since he's now the center of many hostile gazes. The principal confides to a friend that he won't turn this academy into a military camp again. 6 years ago, military-style students achieved nothing. Now, what's needed is a genius, not an army. Returning to his dorm, Min-Fi reunites with Vin, who will be his roommate. Vin believes Min-Fi is disliked by the student body after beating Sarah and leads him on a tour. Most students here wield a power called spirit energy, a psychic force expressed through language or body movements. There are over 100 known types divided into 7 categories. Suddenly, a young man conjures a water whale to chase another student who uses ice magic to freeze it. Amid the chaos, Min-Fi spots a half-living, half-withered tree. Curious Min-Fi asks Vin about it. Vin explains it's a statue linked to the Dragon King. Then, the professor calls Min-Fi for a briefing on an upcoming exam. He shows him a sound box capturing the Dragon King's voice, the original and strongest form of spirit energy. Min-Fi listens but yawns, overwhelmed and confused. The professor suspects Min-Fi's human spirit is overpowering his dragon lineage. The principal can't be wrong. Suddenly, the professor imagines a terrifying scene and rushes off. Vin seizes the moment to stir rumors that Min-Fi is just an average guy. Min-Fi sighs, resigned to possibly returning to a normal life after his memories are wiped. Because he was too blank and clueless, the professor assumed it must be jealousy, the human side, overwhelming the dragon blood coursing within him. The principal couldn't bear to see this mistake, so the teacher conjured another scene and fled in panic. Meanwhile, the film seized the moment to stir up rumors, teasing that Min-Fi was almost an ordinary guy. Min-Fi sighed, sensing he might have to return to a normal life after being brainwashed, but he believed that if he wasn't afraid of bending the rules, the teacher could help him. After all, with nearly 5 years under his belt, He had plenty to offer in exchange for favors. Just as they were talking, the red-haired girl, Nut Nut, reported that Min Fi showed no reaction to the Ling Huangde's energy. Two professors met. Professor Hut believed that until now the dead had the closest bloodline to dragons, but no one had ever dared to look directly at the scales of the Dragon King. Yet Min Fi had boldly shot at them, and now he showed no reaction at all to the divine spirit. They suspected Min Fi might be connected to the White Dragon, the eternal assassin opposing the Black Dragon Emperor, a dark force that makes all beings bow. But the White Dragon had purified its descendants, so they could resist the Black Dragon, so they suspected Min Fi was actually a descendant of the Black Dragon. If true, he would become a priceless research specimen. But Professor Hut didn't want a student he personally recruited to become just that. Professor Mai, out of respect for his friend, promised not to reveal this secret. If Min Fi failed the test, he would speak up to ensure Min Fi received better treatment. That night, someone arrived seeking a spirit guardian to help Min Fi pass the exam. The next morning, Min Fi rushed to the exam room and met Nak Nak. She asked him to take his seat and prepare for the test. When it began, Min Fi realized the exam paper was blank. As the film described, the candidates were tested by listening to spirits and drawing what they saw in their dreams. The answers were already in his hands as the exam started, and the candidates were, within the dream they came upon a colossal bronze pillar wrapped by a mystical tree. A key was assigned to stay and examine it while Diepthang moved deeper inside. A key inspected the tree and realized it bore the script of the dragon species. She took pictures to send for analysis. Suddenly, she became dizzy and her tether snapped. Diepthang quickly returned to catch her and urged her to take the statue and leave. Suddenly, Diepthang stopped her. He revealed she'd been manipulated by the statue all along. He arrived with a mysterious jar just in time as the entire temple abruptly shifted. Realizing Isekai had triggered a trap in the temple, both fled swiftly. Min Fi suddenly heard a bell and woke up to meet Min Trak. He learned the bell signaled morning, someone was about to die or was in grave danger. This could mean opportunity or trouble for Min Fi. Min Trak also spoke cryptically about maps, but Min Fi cut him off as an urgent alert sounded. The school summoned all A-rank students and above. Min Fi had been demoted and was chased away. The group gathered in the hall where the professor asked for help decoding the underwater temple. They had only 20 minutes to rescue Diepthang and a key. Normally, it took 15 years to decipher the temple, but now they had to do everything possible. Min Fi noticed the calm girl from the exam was here too. He logged into the system and found the interface was set up like a game, helping him get familiar with the controls. While everyone worked hard, Min Trak reminded Min Fi about the map. Min Fi pressed a few buttons, causing the entire system to shut down. When it rebooted, the navigation path was revealed and sent to Professor Man. He immediately plotted an escape route for Diepthang and Aki. Both cut communication and began their ascent. Aki knew the oxygen wouldn't last and tried to confess this, but Diepthang, who had long known, urged her to trust him. They had enough oxygen to escape. The professor was overjoyed, but soon realized he'd miscalculated. They only had enough oxygen to leave the ruins, not to surface. The previous test room was also here. Meanwhile, he had logged into the system, and someone had set the interface to a game mode to help him adapt. While everyone else struggled, Min was suddenly reminded by Min Trak of a map he had mentioned. Min pressed a few buttons, causing the entire machine to shut down. When it rebooted, the route had been revealed and sent to Professor Man, who immediately plotted an escape route for Diepthang and Aki. Both were disconnected and prepared to proceed, but Aki realized it wouldn't be enough and intended to confess her feelings here. However, Diepthang had known for a while and wanted her to trust him, as they would have enough oxygen to escape. The professor was overjoyed only to realize he had miscalculated. They only had enough oxygen to escape the ruins, not to surface. He deployed the rescue boat and waited, praying for a miracle. Just when the water was boiling with anxiety, Aki suddenly surfaced, handing over a jar, claiming it was something Diepthang had sacrificed his life to protect. However, she too was pulled under by a creature, leaving the scene devastated. Professor Man was filled with rage. He took the jar back, preparing for revenge. He armed himself and fired relentlessly at the sea monster, which seemed to possess intelligence. It soared up, snatching the helicopter before diving back down. Torpedoes were launched towards the beast, but lost signal, leading them to believe the creature had swallowed them. Just when they thought they had avenged their losses, another of the professor's students was killed and dragged beneath the waves. Furious, he unleashed his entire magazine, but the monster merely regarded him with a satisfied gaze, swimming around the ship and emitting gleeful laughter. The helicopter descended as the torpedo was released, heading straight for the sea monster, but then the signal was lost. They thought the beast had swallowed it and detonated. Just as they believed revenge was achieved, another student of the professor was dragged underwater and killed. Enraged, the professor emptied his magazine, but the sea monster only gazed back with a satisfied, mocking look. It circled the ship, letting out chilling laughter. It still held a bomb inside it. Yet the professor knew that the creature was merely waiting for them to ignite the bomb, ready to unleash its fiery wrath upon the ship. But he realized they were headed straight for a dam, so he charged ahead. The creature immediately pursued them, but as they neared the dam, it slowed down. Seizing the moment, he used this jar to provoke it. Just as they reached the dam, he opened the sluice gates, crashing through and dragging the creature along with him. Once on land, he detonated the bomb, blowing off one of the monster's teeth, which flew into a man nearby. The child quickly used soul language to close the gate, trapping and killing the sea monster. Mang believed he and the professor shared a deep debt with the principal. They finally contacted headquarters, reporting the ship's safe return, along with their spoils. Min-Fi received the highest praise, and later reunited with Su-Hang, who invited him to join the club. Feeling unworthy, Min-Fi declined, and Su-Hang respected his choice, hoping Min-Fi would join the Seiin Student Council, instead either as friend or rival. Soon, funeral bells tolled, and the principal personally met Mang one last time to hear his report and plea, "Please don't speak of the 4 who had fallen on the mission." He also asked the principal to send a message to Nana to find a new mentor. The next day, Min-Fi received an invitation from Nono to attend a party hosted by Sarah, who was rumoured to be a wealthy, famous figure interested in Min-Fi. But Min-Fi hesitated, feeling he lacked the proper attire to fit in. Nono promised to help him with clothes so he could enjoy the food without worry. That night, arriving at the party, a whole truckload of roses was laid out in honour of Nono. Inside, Sarah congratulated Nono on her birthday and kicked off the dancing. Vin, having no partner, dragged Min-Fi out to dance, accidentally stepping on his feet repeatedly. Nono warned Vin that if he kept mistreating Min-Fi, he wouldn't come in. Vin knew Su-Hang had already invited him, so it wouldn't be easy to persuade Min-Fi. Vin rallied the crowd to boost their spirits and called Min-Fi up to answer whether he'd join. If he refused, the exit was just over there. Min-Fi was given little time to decide, when suddenly a blonde girl who had competed with him before stepped forward wanting to dance with him. She introduced herself as Zero, but said he could call her Lin. They danced together, and Min-Fi felt a strange familiarity, as if he'd met her somewhere before. After the dance, Zero bowed gracefully, and Min-Fi suddenly blurted out a regal greeting. No, and Zero then left. Min-Fi realized this place wasn't welcoming to him, and decided to leave. He went to wish Nono a happy birthday, but she thought he just wanted to be alone. Feeling a bit tired, she asked Min-Fi to drive her somewhere. As they left, a group suddenly stormed the academy, attacking fiercely. Defences were hastily set up, but proved useless, forcing the school to deploy students for protection. Meanwhile, Min-Fi was still unaware, hiking up the mountain, when Min-Trak appeared, warning him about a sharp turn ahead. Min-Trak teased that if Min-Fi liked Nono, he should just make his move. Min-Fi told him to mind his own business, but Min-Trak insisted no, wasn't guarding her heart nor interested in anyone, so there was no harm in trying. Now together, Min-Fi and Nono reached the mountaintop and decided to take a stroll. Meanwhile, half of the 13 intruders had already been captured, though the rest saw their captured comrades as mere sacrifices because they had insiders within the school. Professor Mayan was there too, urging Mai-Ni to contact her father in security to lower the academy's restrictions and allow students more freedom to act. Mayan explained that her father had never given her a comfortable life before, but was now willing to break the academy's rules to help her son. They planned to use the excuse that she had moved away. The two chatted about everything from the academy's secrets to life's mysteries. Meanwhile, Miyani's father lifted the protective barriers, enabling everyone to use soul language. But the intruders used invisibility to sneak 6 more inside. One of them, numbered 13, slipped in through a spy-provided entrance and easily swiped a card to open a door. At that moment, the Sarah faction confronted the 6 intruders who tried to escape. Sarah called Su-hang, suggesting both sides handle each other. Su-hang was ordered to evacuate the library. He sent others away but stayed himself limited by illness and unable to fully use soul language. The intruders still believed they were undetected, but Sarah's group smiled knowingly. Sarah let her phone ring through, distracting the intruders with annoying marketing calls, infuriating them. Then, she revealed herself as my older sister to Aki, though they'd barely known each other growing up, so their sisterly bond was almost non-existent. She wanted to hear what Sarah had to say before dying. Sarah, however, only wanted to know what Mai had come for. Naturally, it was the Dragon's Core jar believed to usher in a new era. As soon as Mai finished talking, Sarah fired tranquilizer shots aiming to keep casualties low. She knew Sarah's strength in darkness, but was willing to fight on her home ground and turned off the lights. Sarah could see everything clearly and spotted Mai's position, but suddenly, Mai vanished right before her eyes. Nearby, someone from the intruders confronted a blonde-haired figure, undoubtedly Zero. Without a word, he readied soul language, unleashing a fiery blast as powerful as a bomb. The entire library was engulfed in flames, yet Zero emerged unscathed. Meanwhile, intruder number 13 pushed deeper inside but was warned to retreat. This young man approaching wasn't bringing anything good. Yet 13 was determined, guiding the youth onward. As 13 prepared for new orders, his phone suddenly died, so he pressed on, deciding to act first and receive instructions later. He reached an ancient door radiating a chilling aura, but dismissed the fear and opened it anyway. Back on the mountain, Min-Fi and No-No were still talking. She believed Shira was simply shy about inviting him herself, and only sent the invitation after noticing Su-hang's interest in Min-Fi. Though No-No was the main character here, Kira's influence overshadowed her. Yet Min-Fi stood as the only one capable of reclaiming everyone's attention. The night was thick with tension, as destinies intertwined Min-Fi, No Zero, and the shadowy forces moving within the academy, each carrying burdens and secrets that would soon ignite into a storm none could escape. If you've ever felt like an outsider, caught between worlds and expectations, remember, Min-Fi's journey, a journey not just of strength, but of heart, where every step forward is a dance with fate itself. Thanks for sharing this tale with me. No invited Min-Fi to join her faction through a dance with Zero, not just out of camaraderie, but because she desired a loyal underling all her own. Most of her followers leaned towards Azira, leaving her with none. She believed that both Banthan and Surah would back Min-Fi, and really, she only called him here to receive a birthday gift from someone she longed to see again. Then, fireworks ignited the sky, a dazzling celebration just for Nono's birthday. Nono's mention of the person she wished to meet her mother hinted at a loss that had weighed on her for some time. Meanwhile, 13 was swept by the currents toward Area 14, where he encountered a shark. But it hesitated shy to attack, allowing 13 to climb out and keep running through the research zone. With the access card in hand, he reached the egg where the headmaster was present. This egg was submerged in liquid nitrogen, and all the researchers yearned to dissect it, but the headmaster forbade it, too dangerous, and their skills weren't enough to open it. As everyone left, 13 seized the chance to snatch the egg. But hallucinations gripped him, and valuing survival, he abandoned even the vial of liquid his superiors had given him. The vial's purpose was to open the container and pour the liquid onto the egg. Yet just as 13 departed, another figure stepped in to perform the ritual, adding a bit of blood to fully revive the Dragon King. Meanwhile, Syrah and Mai forged an uneasy truce. 3 more strikes would end their duel. Zerah had found a way to track her through sound. Her first 2 strikes were predictable, but by the third she vanished in all 48 directions. Yet thanks to the hairpin she wore, he could still sense her presence. Despite that, she turned cold and pressed a gun to Zerah's head. Suddenly, an explosion forced them both to cease fighting. Neither answered. They stepped outside to investigate and sensed someone with a body temperature as hot as magma had just passed. Zerah scanned for a heartbeat, but found none, an eerie sign. Min-Fi and Nono, now bored, were preparing to leave when they got word of the attack, but thought the school was still safe. Banthan and Zero were locked in battle, neither yielding. Meanwhile, 13 was sneaking out of the academy, but accidentally collided with Minfi. When they caught their breath, they realized they were old gaming buddies. His real name was Lao Duong, and with Minfi's help, he escaped, but temporarily took both as hostages, demanding they escort him down the mountain. Suddenly, behind the trio, appeared something intensely hot. No, told them just to watch the rearview mirror, and there a young woman appeared calling one of the men brother. The two startled thought she was a ghost or some haunted microwave and bolted. The professors, mistaking her for a dragon, ordered everyone to keep their distance and open fire. But bullets melted on impact. Even grenades failed. Suddenly she began chanting spells like to hang, unleashing a massive wave of heat. The headmaster quickly called his subordinates and decided to call a truce with Zero. The chaos was unintended. Even Main's father couldn't erect a barrier strong enough to contain her power. This girl was no ordinary being. She was a dragon, the ruler of metal and fire and one of the 4 dragon kings. Mai contacted her team to report on this dragon, warning that she'd lost control. If her energy continued to drain unchecked, it could trigger an explosion powerful enough to level the entire mountain. Mingfi's group still hadn't figured out how to break through this crisis, caught between awe and terror. The dragon's raw power was a living inferno, a force beyond human grasp, threatening to consume everything in its path. In the face of this, the lines between friend and foe blurred, and survival meant more than just strength. It meant understanding the fragile balance of power and the fiery spirit behind it. The story pulses with tension, a dance of heat and hope, where every decision could ignite a new path or burn it to ashes. Suddenly, the team arrives at the military assembly, and everyone spots the dragon chasing after them. They scramble for a plan, rushing towards the pool ahead, hoping it holds a secret escape. They meet C.E. Ra, who insists on staying behind, urging the group to move on. But Ra is determined to stay and protect Minfi. Meanwhile, Min Mai overhears comrades devising a strategy using tranquilizer darts. Unlike normal bullets, these metal-infused darts can get closer to the dragon, not enough to kill it, but enough to slow it down. Sure enough, the tranquilizers do slow the dragon's relentless pace. The 3 young men hide in the pool, easing into cautious conversation, but the dragon draws near, forcing them underwater. Minfi finds himself in a vivid hallucination, believing Min Trak conjured it, and he frantically searches but only finds the dragon girl. Moments later, he realizes the dragon boy calls Minfi brother. He recognizes the temple beneath the sea on the distant mountain. Suddenly, Min Trak bursts out, shoots the dragon, and hauls Minfi away. Back at the pool, Minfi sees his 2 friends have escaped, but the dragon's footprints vanish. The principal calls Minfi up to a towering spire, handing him an alchemical bullet and a gun, charging him with the mission to slay the resurrected Dragon King. Minfi hesitates, seeking reasons. The principal declares Minfi the chosen one, the Dragon Slayer. Meanwhile, his 2 friends continue their escape, leaving Minfi behind. Suddenly, the dragon turns to Lao Duong, calling him brother, then morphs into its dragon form, forcing the principal into action. The principal leaps into battle, wielding his spiritual power to slow time around him. As he carves a slit to pry open the dragon's eye, he signals Minfi. Encouraged by Min Trak behind him, Minfi fires straight into the dragon's eye. The dragon loses control over its metallic powers. The principal calls for everyone to reload. Seeing Lao Duong, the dragon rushes to shield its brother, absorbing all the bullets. Even wounded, its skeletal form fights on, desperate to protect its kin. Lao Duong, overwhelmed by fear, flees without realizing the dragon's sacrifice has saved him all along. Running through the rain, grief and memories flood back the dragon, and Lao Duong are brothers from a past life. Now, the weight of having caused his brother's death crushes him. This awakened memory bestows a unique blessing. His strength returns. Meanwhile, Minfi's father confronts the principal, furious, because he knows the dragon and the Dragon King. Notong are brothers. Yet the principal killed Notong's younger brother without fear of revenge. The father, disillusioned and weary of this world, trusts Minfi to protect the new generation. He intends to use his remaining time to exterminate dragons from the world. Each dragon's death leaves behind a fragment, a vessel for rebirth. Killing No Tong's brother was a cruel necessity meant to force No Tonga's awakening, though his form remains incomplete. Only hatred can drive him to fight at full strength, oblivious to the future he leaves behind. The next morning, Min-Fi learns that all elite members of the school have been summoned home. He decides to join the student council, noticing that C.E. Ra has already been in for some time. An uncle arrives, handing Min-Fi his student ID and instructing him to meet C.E. Ra soon, who is currently in a dispute with the principal. The principal reveals the underwater temple is a priceless relic, entrusting its exploration to C.E. Ra's student council with the condition that Min-Fi accompanies them. Min-Fi refuses, feeling useless and only good at dragging feet. C.E. Ra insists that since the principal chose him, he can't refuse. Min-Fi claims he's only here for a scholarship, not some heroic quest, which irritates C.E. Ra. She believes Min-Fi's refusal shows he's willing to accept erasing his memories and becoming ordinary. Nak-Nak arrives, reminding Min-Fi she promised to back him up, but warns that if he chooses to leave, their promise ends today. Seduced by this promise, Min-Fi agrees to stay and begins training under Nak. His training is intense, learning knives with C.E. Ra, boxing with Tuhang, diving with Nak-Nak, and shooting with Zero. Min-Fi pushes himself, never giving up. 2 months pass. Min-Fi spends nearly 15 minutes staring in the mirror, prompting Finn to speak up. Min-Fi wonders why Finn stays here for 4 years. Finn admits he feels lonely, but the food is good. Min-Fi senses their vibes often clash, but appreciates Finn's sincere support. He entrusts Finn with his S-rank student ID for safekeeping just in case. Finn, however, orders gifts online, making Min-Fi rethink his trust. He tosses the ID back, telling Min-Fi to keep it after all luck favours the less talented. That night, the 4 chosen board a ship for an underwater mission. My knee briefs them this time. They're better armed because they might face the sea monster again. It's just a minion of the Dragon King and requires extreme caution. 2 teams form Min-Fi with Nak, C.E. Dar with Zero. Zero claims he can't swim this month and is excused. Min-Fi hopes Lak-Lak will join, but she's unavailable. He asks if she wants to dive too. As they prepare to depart, Min-Fi worries about confronting No-Tong, but Mai reassures him that No-Tong's incomplete body can't yet unleash destructive powers and must remain dormant. They arrive at the temple gate and encounter the demon guarding it. My knee wants Min-Fi to bleed into a vial to feed the demon. Min-Fi hopes the beast is dead, but it bites his hand, causing him to scream, thinking he's badly hurt. Nak quickly bandages the minor wound. Suddenly, both are pulled through the gate and awaken in a strange cavern. The air is surprisingly fresh, signalling the return of the place's true master. Someone explains that the temple's architecture has changed since their last exploration. Only the Dragon King No-Tong, the place's true lord, could have done this. Min-Fi feels uneasy, but Nak is eager to find the bomb site. Min-Fi pours dye into the water, guiding them along its trail. About to depart, but one of them had already placed an order, making Min-Fi reconsider. He threw back the card, telling him to keep it for luck, might just bring him back to spend it. After all, the unlucky often have the best fortunes. That night, the 4 chosen boarded a ship ready to dive. Mine explained this mission was better armed than last time, as they might face the sea monster again. Because it was merely a minion of the Dragon King, they had to be extremely cautious. 2 teams were formed, Min-Fi with Nak and Sidar with Zero. Zera's group was tasked to dive into the sea and destroy the relic. But Zero claimed she was on her period and couldn't swim, and her excuse was accepted. Min-Fi hoped Lak-Lak would come along, but she wasn't selected, so he asked her directly if she wanted to dive. As they prepared to depart, Min-Fi worried about facing the No-Tong. Mai explained that No-Tong still lacked a complete body to unleash the world-destroying spirit, so it had to hibernate, and the temple was the birthplace of the perfected dragon. Both teams dived to the gate and encountered the demon guarding the entrance. Mine wanted him to pour some blood from the vial for the demon. Min-Fi hoped it was dead, but it lunged and bit his hand, making him scream and think he was seriously hurt. Nak showed him the small wound and bandaged it. Then both were sucked into the gate and woke up in a strange cave. Oddly, the air was incredibly fresh, signalling the owner of this place had returned. Someone explained that this place had changed since last time. The first revelation hit like a thunderclap. This place had been reshaped, twisted by the hands of none other than the Dragon King. No, Tong, the sovereign of this realm. Min-Fi hesitated, a flicker of fear in his eyes, but Nak-Nak's curiosity burned brighter than any caution. The main plan: spill dye into the water and follow its trail. Together, they chased the swirling colour while eerie statues around them seemed to watch their every move. Step by step, they ventured deeper until they reached the ancient tree. The couple who had gone ahead once stepped deeper still, and there, looming large, stood a colossal statue of the Dragon King No Tong. Nak whispered for Min-Fi to look down, then, without warning, pushed him into the water. She plunged in after him, pulling him along. They swam down into the depths, discovering a vast necropolis beneath the surface. As they searched, Nak spotted a flat area and with Min-Fi's blood pressed it against a dragon-shaped valve. Suddenly, a hidden passage burst open, swallowing them whole. Their rope snapped, forcing Sira to rely on his Ngoling to track them. Meanwhile, Min-Fi and Lak arrived at what seemed to be No Tong's former dwelling. The place lay abandoned, shrouded in silence. Lak urged Min-Fi to sit front and centre, so she could reenact the story of the two dragon siblings. As she mimicked their bond, Nak revealed that the two brothers had lived here, one confined by his disability crafting tools, while the other, though always accompanied, bore a deep loneliness. The weight of solitude clung to the elder brother, a shadow on his heart. Min-Fi pondered setting the bomb and retreating. Nak calculated meticulously, setting a 45-minute timer. Yet something was off. The oil lamp flickered with fresh fuel, betraying their expectations. Without hesitation, the two dashed forward, climbing the water wheel to escape the tightening grasp of time. As they scrambled up, the connecting rope vanished without a ripple in the water. The temple trembled and began collapsing, forcing them back down. Min-Fi sensed this was different from their last ordeal, and decided to try the escape route they'd planned before. They reached the rear gate, but Sarah panicked, wanting to rescue someone. My Nair insisted waiting an hour if no news came. Then they'd act. Min-Fi and Nak made some progress, but Min-Fi felt powerless and called for Min-Trak. Suddenly, he heard Fim's voice trying to reach him. Through Mai's neural link, Fim hacked in with S-rank authority, guiding Min-Fi to the exit. The river's water was heating up, a sign the Dragon King had begun his move. Sarah took command as captain since Mai Ni was overusing Golin's power and couldn't lead anymore. The river's temperature rose like a warning flame. No Tong was stirring, ready to act. Sira stepped up as captain, the weight of command falling on his shoulders since Mai Ni was drained, overusing her and Golin. The crew unanimously accepted the change. Suddenly, a monstrous beast erupted from the depths, attacking fiercely, slaying a crew member and wrecking the weapon's bay. It had been lurking beneath all along. In a desperate bid, they fled only for No Tong to summon his loyal aquatic servant, the sea monster, and mercilessly fuse with it, becoming an even greater threat. Meanwhile, Min-Fi and Nak stumbled upon the body of Diepthang. They realized he had sacrificed his oxygen tank for a key, enabling her to surface. Clutched in Diepthang's hand was a precious artifact, too valuable to carry on, yet impossible to leave behind. They pressed on, seeking an exit, only to be blocked by a massive stone slab, forcing a detour. Min-Fi struggled, leaning heavily on Nak. But Nak, ever the realist, challenged him. Relying on others only breeds weakness. Look at Diepthang, she said. He stood on his own 2 feet. Learn from him. Her words struck a chord, fueling Min-Fi's resolve. He believed that every lock had a key, a way out. By chance, they found the gatekeeper, but Min-Fi's blood had stopped flowing. Nak held back the stone with all her might, while Min-Fi made a desperate choice, removing his mask to bite his own hand, bleeding anew. Against all odds, they escaped the temple's grasp. Sensing their return, Sira ordered the ship back to the rendezvous point to retrieve his teammates. From beneath, they emerged, not from above, and Nak generously gave half her remaining oxygen, and even considered lending her diving suit. But this meant her own endurance was dangerously limited. Sira lowered the diving bell, waiting anxiously for them to resurface. A call came through. They had a new ally joining the hunt for the Dragon King, No Tong. Yet Sira doubted the plan, attacking a fire dragon with fire futile. Instead, he reconfigured the torpedo to become a deadly iron arrow, aimed straight at No Tong's heart, no explosion needed. Sira reminded him to use Ngonling to heighten his senses during the launch, warning that the blast would shatter his eardrums. Sira acknowledged the risk but accepted it, yet when facing No Tong, he still fired several bullets, enhanced by Ngonlin. Though harmless, they enraged the Dragon King enough to keep him from fleeing. Zero readied a double torpedo, Sira saw the moment and broke Ngolin's hold, letting Zero unleash the attack. Notong struck back with a blinding explosion binding and obscuring their vision, making torpedo targeting impossible. But Sira had covered his eyes from the start to avoid being trapped. He signaled Zero fire. The torpedoes soared straight into the heart of the storm. It struck the Dragon King head-on, pushing him back and slowly sinking him. The cave returned to silence, but Sira suffered severe ear injuries, his hearing now distorted. Only Zero noticed and vowed to become Sira's steadfast shield in battles to come. Meanwhile, Lak Lak and Min found Chuang Lan. Lak Lak sent Min in first, but she was fatally pierced by the Dragon King. Min was stunned, admitting his own weakness, yet why had fate made him witness such heartbreak? He screamed in despair and was taken to meet Ming Trak. Min didn't want to waste time here, but Ming Trak revealed that Lak Lak had lost 90% of her blood, her consciousness still flickering like a candle in the wind, life hanging by a thread. Time flowed slower here, so upon return, Min still had enough to save her. The question was, did he have the courage to try? Ming Trak wanted to hear Min's purpose for coming, hoping to help. Min confessed he'd joined the academy just to prove his worth to his parents, but then spiraled into madness, shooting Sira and Tu Hang, rising to S rank and being seduced into the student council by a cunning girl. He'd felt invisible before, like he didn't exist. Sira was the first to make him feel alive, to shine as himself. He couldn't bear to lose Lak Lak, that was now his reason to live. It sounded pitiful and almost laughable, but he didn't care. After laughing it off, he had to break free from here. Min had laid bare his soul, and Ming Trak decided to forge a demon pact with him. Ming Trak's power was near limitless, but Min could only summon him 4 times, after which his own lifespan would end. Seeing how much Min had changed, Ming Trak quickly sealed the pact. He granted him 3 powers, 2 spirit manipulations for combat, 1 to silence enemies' just spirit abilities, and a 4th power, Min created himself no death. This allowed Min to manipulate life and strength to make that true. But Min wanted to exchange 1 power. Ming Trak let him choose any he wished. Ming chose a power similar to Sira's. After that, Min was ejected from the realm and back to reality. He swam out, fitted Lak Lak with an oxygen mask, and used his life-manipulating ability to restore her blood flow. Then he tied and pulled her up onto the ship. Receiving their signal, joy flooded him. They were still alive. Min had done what he could, but now faced the burden of 4 summons from Ming Trak. None of those powers could directly harm the Dragon King, but Ming Trak revealed a box he took from Deep Thang, containing 7 deadly weapons created by Notong to control other Dragon Kings. Against Notong, brutal force was the answer. Min sealed the Dragon King's mouth to make it a purely physical fight. Opening the box, he summoned 3 weapons embodying gluttony, pride, and lust. Not perfect, but usable. Armed with these, Min charged the Dragon King, clashing swords. Fighting underwater gave him no footing to strike fully, so Ming Trak tweaked his abilities to help. Min fought faster and wounded the Dragon King, but took heavy blows in return. Eventually, the Dragon King fled. Ming Trak advised conserving strength. The Dragon King was a tough opponent for a long battle. Notong's retreat was clearly to prepare a final strike. Min felt the ocean's solitude like a cold shadow. If he died, who would mourn? Maybe only Vin, and for Lak Lak someone else would carry her sorrow. Ming Trak was ready to let him give up if he accepted despair. But Min had come too far to quit now. He activated Sira's power, but his first attempt faltered. Ming Trak told him to focus to find the target. Once found, Min charged with his sword, driving 2 blades into the Dragon King's neck. But recognizing Lao Duong, he hesitated and was strangled. Ming Trak sent him a 3rd blade. Min plunged it into the Dragon King's back, turning him to stone as he sank beneath the waves. Meanwhile, Min suffered torment from memories with his friend. Lak Lak was successfully revived. Zero spotted Min surfacing and pulled him up. The Dragon King still lived, but Mai was close by firing a special bullet to finish the job, ensuring Min survived. Back at the academy, Min was officially promoted to sharpshooter, and told by the principal that there were 8 Dragon Kings total, each with a twin. Min didn't understand why the Black King allowed twins to restrain each other. The principal shared the history of Notong's Dragon Kings Lao Duong, and the fate that would unfold if the Dragon Kings weren't destroyed. He handed Min a letter from his mother. The principal was curious about the truth behind the Dragon King, but wouldn't push if Min chose silence. Ming-Fi returned to school still alive, officially becoming a sharpshooter. The principal informed him that there were a total of 8 Dragon Kings, each being a pair of twins. Min-Fi was puzzled as to why the Dark King chose to bind the twins together this way. The teacher also shared with him the history of the Dragon King Notong and the connections to the beloved master he had lost, along with the consequences if the Dragon King were not eliminated. The teacher handed him a letter written by his mother. He then pondered what truly transpired with the Dragon King, yet if Min-Fi chose not to discuss it, the teacher respected his silence. Back in his room, Min-Fi saw the congratulatory post about his success alongside C, but the banners were different, causing him to react unexpectedly. Coincidentally, Tahang and Zero had moved to the room across from Nak. Returning to his room, Min received a message from Ming Trak reminding him of their pact, and to keep this message as their contract. Min believed he wouldn't use such power again, and so this chapter ends here. Farewell for now. She arrived nearby and gifted Min-Fi a chocolate for Valentine's Day. Grateful for Min-Fi waking her up when she was submerged in the sea, she invited him to hang out with the group. However, he declined, burdened by his own tasks. As he returned to his room, a message from Ming Trak appeared reminding him of their agreement and instructing him to keep this message as a contract. He believed he wouldn't need to use this power again